For those select few that are already initiated, you should already know what this is. And for those of you that aren't, just chill. See, we're gonna get to the other stuff here in a minute. But what I'm always trying to get everybody to understand is everything is vibration. So before we do anything else, if you haven't smiled yet today, now will be the perfect time to do so. Like right now. I mean right motherfucking now. And if you can't find a smile for yourself, just allow me to be the smile on your face. Cause at the end of the day, all I am is the smile on your face. All I am is the motherfucking vibe. Can you feel that? That's everything. And that's me. I know you think you can see me right now, but no. This is just a projection, and that projection could also be an illusion, and that illusion could also be a mirage that you yourself are creating. And your brain might even think you can hear me right now, but I guarantee that is also impossible. It's impossible because you gotta feel me, baby. Everything is vibration. And see, I can feel you feeling me. That's empathy. Just let it seep in. You can't make it, you just gotta take it. And a lot of people are trying to fake it while the rest of us are trying to escape it. That's empathy. It's like a tsunami. What it was. Y'all already know who it is, and y'all tuned in with priceless knowledge of self, and this right here, this ain't nothing but some cosmic insight. And in this Pluto and Capricorn age that we're living in, people have become enamored with all sorts of labels. And in this Neptune and Pisces culture that we're living through, empath is one of those labels that people have become stuck on. And even in labeling themselves empaths, people have kind of come up with ranks and labels within the empath system now. Because certain people are Hyokas and then other people are this or that. And if we're being honest, most aren't. See, Every human being is capable of feeling empathy, but not every human being is a true empath. See, true empaths like myself have been trying to escape this our whole freaking lives. It's too much. I got my own stuff going on. Now I got to deal with you too. But it is what it is. And we finna talk about it here today. So today, this is the priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. And before I go any further, you have to understand what I just said. I said the priceless top 5. So this isn't your top 5. This isn't his or hers. This isn't what you read about or what you heard about. Nah, this me. And good thing for all of us, I am a professional. And so if you didn't make the list, it doesn't mean that you don't have empathic capabilities, because we all do. It just means you didn't make the list. All right. And so without further ado, let's get right to it. And before we get into the actual list, I do have an honorable mention. And I could have made several honorable mentions, but this one really stuck out because it's something that I have experienced my whole life, because it's one of my own personal placements. And it's Neptune in the 3rd house. See, people with Neptune in the 3rd house are incredibly tuned in to their immediate environment. They can feel and sense everything going on around them. And sometimes it's too much. And sometimes it causes confusion. Then other times it's like it's psychic attunement and there's enlightenment. But it's definitely a lot to deal with. It's definitely a lot to deal with. And that can cause people to want to escape. See, the thing about empathy is, if you're not able to establish boundaries, you're going to want to escape. Just like my Uncle Thomas and his hog farm. He had to make sure that his fences were always taken care of, and he had to make sure that his gates were always sturdy. Because if not, the hogs were going to get out. And so, with empathy, the only thing you can do is establish boundaries. And with Neptune in the 3rd house, man, that is imperative. But the way that people with Neptune in the 3rd house are incredibly tuned in to their immediate environment is the reason that they're the honorable mention on our list of the priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. And before I get into the actual top 5, I need everybody to hit the like button right now. And if you're here and you're not going to hit the like button, what are you here for? What you doing? You creeping? You hating? You swag sucking? As you can see, I got plenty to spare. Take some. And then just hit the like button. And in doing so, understand, this is not about ego. No. This is about algorithm for us. It just helps us expand the platform. That way, if you're not trying to hear what I'm trying to say, at least let us get out to the next motherfucker who is. And drop a comment or a super chat or a super sticker or a super thanks. Let us know you're here. I put in a lot of hard work with this, man. All right? And YouTube is about interaction. Let's kick this algorithm in its ass. All right? And so, now, let's get into the priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. And number 5 on the list, Pluto in the 12th house. See, the thing about Pluto in the 12th house is not only do they feel emotions intensely, but they also draw out intensity and emotions from other people, and they draw it into self. And then that intensity and emotions that they draw into self from other people creates this vacuum inside of them. And so they just keep drawing in more and more. And then that vacuum keeps creating these situations and difficulties that that person has to deal with. And in dealing with those situations and difficulties, the Pluto in the 12th house person grows and evolves and becomes empowered. And that's interesting. And it's a little scary too. But that's the life of Pluto in the 12th house. Pluto in the 12th house doesn't just feel feelings of other people. They draw them out. And then they take those feelings into self. And then they transform it into something else. And that's powerful. And that's the reason that Pluto in the 12th house is number 5 on the list of the priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. And number 4 on the list is actually quite interesting, because when I started this little list right here and I was kind of sorting through it, I didn't know if I wanted to put Cancer Sun or Cancer Moon as number 4 on this list, because both are really incredibly empathic. But the thing is, Cancer Sun is going to be the masculine or the projective or expressive energy that comes along with Cancer. While as Cancer Moon is the more receptive and internalized of those energies. And with empathy, we are definitely incorporating receptivity. And that's the reason why Cancer Moons are number 4. If a Cancer Moon person cares about you, then they feel what you feel. Period. That doesn't extend to everybody, but if they care about you, then they feel what you feel, and they're going through what you're going through. So remember that next time you catch them a little grumpy or moody, because maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you. Yeah. That's the reason Cancer Moons are number 4 on the list of the priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. Because if they care about you, they feel what you feel. They going through what you going through. Now, number 3 on the list of the priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. People with the moon in their first house. See, people with the moon in the first house sense insecurities in other people. And then other people can also sense that the people with the moon in the first house can sense their insecurities. And in some rare cases, it's going to want to kind of make people weary of them, and they're going to want to stay away from them. But in most cases, they're going to be drawn to them. Because, there's somebody that cares. Maybe that person can help me. And the truth of the matter is, the person with the moon in the first house does care. Even if they don't want to care, they care. And that's an interesting deck to deal with. But that's the life of the person with the moon in the first house. That's the life of them. Is people sensing that they can sense their insecurities and people being drawn to them Because that right there is somebody that cares. Even with Capricorn, if it's a Capricorn moon in the first house, not only do they care, they feel responsible for that person. With Aquarius, they feel a certain brotherhood towards them. Friendship. It's all there. And that's the reason people with their moon in the first house are number 3 on the list of the Priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. Now, number 2. Number 2 is universally known as one of the most empathic placements that there are. And it's also one of those placements that I myself have to deal with on an everyday basis. And sometimes it's too much, but I can't escape it. And it's Pisces moon. Pisces moon is number 2 on the list of the Priceless top 5 most empathic placements of astrology. Because not only are they tuned in, but being the old souls that they are, Pisces moons also have an emotional understanding that is out of this world. Or let's just flip the script on that. Let's call it an empathic understanding of emotions that is divine. Either way you look at it. They feel it. They understand it. And sometimes they don't want to deal with it. Matter of fact, most of the times they don't want to deal with it. And they're going to do everything they can to try to get away from it. And that's the life of the Pisces moon. And there's several situations with the Pisces moon where, you know, this can be too much and establishing boundaries becomes of the utmost importance. Like, for instance, I'm at a choir concert for my son here about maybe 3 weeks ago. And we're in there and the little kids are up there singing and they're singing their hearts out. But there is not a talented soul among them. But I'm in the crowd with all the parents. And even though I'm not enjoying that concert in the slightest bit, I am over there sobbing, crying. And my son ain't even up there singing at that moment. And you know why? Because I'm feeling the feelings of all the other parents in there. I'm feeling everybody else's feelings in there. I'm sitting there just tears running down my face. And I'm incredibly upset with myself. I'm not upset. I'm upset with myself because, man, like, why am I crying right now? And some people say, oh, that's because you're Cancer. No, that's that Pisces moon. It's because I feel everything that's going on in that environment. That vibe is there. And the vibe is proud in there. These are incredibly proud parents that are there seeing their babies sing. And those babies are up there singing and they're putting their heart into it and they want people to feel their feelings. So there, I am feeling all of it. And don't want to do nothing but get the fuck away from it. And that right there kind of creates some internal confusion. And then there's other instances. Like, say I'm just chilling, right? And a friend of mine or my lady comes and gets into the car with me. And as soon as they get into the car, I can sense something is bothering them. I know right off the rip that their vibe is a little off. Something's off with them. And so I'm going to ask them, hey, what's wrong? And then they're going to say, Nothing. There ain't nothing wrong. And I know there's something wrong. So now, not only does that create a small element of distrust, it also kind of makes me start to think maybe there's a problem with us or there's a problem with me because they don't want to speak on it. When the fact of the matter is, it has nothing to do with me whatsoever. Something's bothering them. They don't want to speak on it. They want to be just left alone. But because I sense this vibe and because I'm aware of it, but there isn't a label or a title to put on it or a reason for it that I'm aware of yet, it creates confusion for me sometimes. And that's the nature of Pisces. And so all of that is the reason that Pisces moon is number 2 on the list of the Priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. Now, number 1, man, number 1 is Neptune in the 12th house. Why? Because Neptune in the 12th house is tuned into everything. Neptune in the 3rd house is tuned into their immediate environment. They're aware of that vibration, and they can feel the feelings of anybody that's in their immediate vicinity. But see, people with Neptune in the 12th house are tuned into everything. And not just emotions, also aura. Also things that go beyond rational explanation. They feel everything. And that's why it's so important that they have some type of place that they can go to with true solitude, where it's just them with themselves. But the problem with that is that place right there is just a figment of their imagination. Because they're so tuned into everything. It's inescapable. It's inescapable. So they have to create that space that they can go to. If not, emotional overload is a tremendous understatement. I mean, a tremendous understatement. Neptune in the 12th house is number 1 on the list of the Priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. And in the words of the wise Forrest Gump. In the words of the wise Forrest Gump. Maybe Forrest Gump wasn't that wise and that's why I couldn't even say it. But he did have a simple wisdom to him, didn't he? But in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that. And that concludes the Priceless top 5 most empathic placements in astrology. And if you didn't make the list, once again, it doesn't mean you're not capable of feeling empathy. We all are. You just didn't make the list. And stop calling yourself an empath, because sometimes that shit right there is inescapable. Let's get away from the labels. And so it really doesn't matter what you have going on in your chart anyway. The truth of the matter is, just because you built like that, you don't have to build like that. And what I mean is, we all have all of this energy available to us. What you do with it is what you do with it. And even beyond that, it's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. And that's some priceless knowledge in itself. And this has been some priceless knowledge of self. If any of y'all are interested in any astrological readings whatsoever, do not get at me in my comments. Get at me in my email, which is mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And we have Pluto in Capricorn for maybe another month and a half or so, y'all. I'm lying. We'll have Pluto in Capricorn until March, early March. And so that means we got about another 2 months for y'all to get this Pluto in Aquarius transit journey reading before I'm done doing this, and for you to get insight on how you can deal with this energy as it affects you. All right? So get at me. And if any of y'all are interested in any merch, do the same thing. And I got all types of styles and, different motherfucking shapes and colors and all that shit, all right? And you probably look fabulous in it, but you just got to remember, this type of swag I got, this type of energy that I pack with me, it's got to be in you and not on you. So, let me put it in you.